Hello and welcome to the University Administration Support Program Pre-Departure Training. This training should answer many of your questions about preparing for the program and about the program itself. But of course, feel free to contact your program contact in DC should you have any questions at all about the program. As a quick overview of what we'll be talking about today, first we will briefly introduce the program, then we'll review the program terms and conditions, then we'll talk about planning your trip to the US, including travel, advice, documents, and so on. Your arrival to the US, and finally some tips and strategies for adjusting to life in the US. So we'll be talking about the participating organizations in the University Administration Support Program, as well as the program timeline. So the organizations involved in the UASP program are the Carnegie Corporation of New York, the International Research and Exchanges Board, known as IREX, and the U.S. host universities participating in the program. The Carnegie Corporation of New York funds and oversees the program, and you can read a bit about what the Carnegie Corporation's mission and goals are here on this slide, but in essence, the Carnegie Corporation has supported the University Administration Support Program for over 10 years now, and among other things, advocates for higher education development in Africa and Eurasia, the two regions where this program operates. IREX is the next participating organization. IREX developed the model for the University Administration Support Program and implements all aspects of the program, including participant recruitment, selection, U.S. training component, as well as follow-on activities. Your program contact at IREX is me, Julia Hahn. You can find my contact information here on this slide. As you may know already, email is generally the best way to contact me and will result in the quickest reply, but feel free to call at any time. The two phone numbers you see at the bottom of this slide are the IREX Education Programs Division emergency numbers. And so I would encourage you to make a note of those numbers right now, somewhere that's convenient and readily accessible for you. You can use those should any kind of emergency occur, especially outside of business hours in DC. Somebody will be monitoring that hotline at all times and will connect you to program staff to help you out with whatever's going on. But again, these should only be used in case of emergency, such as a missed flight, immigration problems, a medical emergency, and so on. Just to briefly go over the program timeline, this is the second cohort of the University Administration Support Program for this cycle of the program. Participants will arrive in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, January 27th. This is followed by a 3-day opening workshop in Washington, D.C. from January 28th to 30th. And on the 31st, participants will travel to their host universities. Participants will stay at their host universities then until March 19th, for the U.S. training component of the program. On that date, you all will travel back to Washington, D.C. for a 2-day closing workshop at which you'll present your findings and discuss your experiences with each other. And then on March 22nd, all participants will depart home for their home countries. Now we'll review your program terms and conditions, and I would suggest at this time that you find your program terms and conditions document, which you should have a copy of, so if you need to pause the recording and go get that, that would be fine, and have it in front of you just so you can refer to that while we're going over some of these items. In general, I would encourage you to take the time to carefully review that document in detail yourself before the program, as this really has the comprehensive information about the program provisions and requirements and so on, which we'll be discussing in brief right now. So we'll be discussing the grant provisions, the J-1 visa requirement, accident and sickness insurance, and the general program policies. So the grant provisions for the University Administration Support Program include J-1 visa support, a pre-departure training, which you're listening to right now, that's either held in participants' home countries or conducted virtually, round-trip airfare from your home city to your host university, and an opening workshop in Washington, D.C. The grant also includes an 8-week professional shadowing program at a U.S. public university, which is kind of the heart of the program there. A closing workshop in Washington, D.C., accident and sickness insurance, and housing, which will be arranged by IREX. A couple of notes about the housing. Your housing may be shared with other program participants from different countries. The housing arrangements will vary by host university depending upon what is available there. And for some placements, a homestay option may be offered where participants have the option of staying with a American family in their home. These are not always available at host universities, and when they are, we'll be sure to contact participants in advance and see what their thoughts are on staying at a homestay. The grant also provides a $40 a day allowance to participants for meals and incidentals, as well as a $1,000 materials and professional development allowance for each participant. And the professional development allowance will be discussed in more detail at the opening workshop, but at this time I would encourage you to begin thinking about possible professional development activities that you might be interested in. This could include attending conferences in the U.S. that are relevant to your area of management focus, attending workshops or other events, arranging a visit to another U.S. university to meet with administrators to broaden your view of your management focus area topic, or even simply purchasing materials or association membership. So this is a good thing to begin thinking about in advance, and then at the opening workshop we'll be sure to provide some more details on this program component. The J-1 visa requirement of the program is an important aspect. The J Exchange Visitor Program is designed to provide opportunities for citizens of foreign countries to study, train, or conduct research in the U.S. in order to improve relations and increase mutual understanding between the people of the U.S. and the people of participants' countries. So all participants on the UASP program are required to obtain and maintain a J1 visa in order to participate in the program. Of course, in order to maintain your J1 visa status, you will have to maintain professional and personal standards during your stay in the U.S. Under the laws governing the J1 visa, participants must return to their home country upon completion of the U.S. program and may be subject to what is called a 2-year home residency requirement. And this is determined by the U.S. consulate in each participant's home country. You may see a note on your U.S. visa if you've received that already regarding this home residence requirement, and it really varies from country to country and consulate to consulate. So this is not something that IREX determines, but rather the U.S. consulate in your home country. Unfortunately, we're not able to grant any visa extensions or transfers for this program. As a couple of other notes regarding the J1 visa, marriage to a U.S. citizen or the birth of a child in the U.S. does not exempt fellows of the 2-year home residency requirement, should that be required. Additionally, the program will not sponsor or provide assistance for dependents visas, so spouses or children's visas. However, if you have a spouse or child, other relative who is interested in visiting you during the program, that is acceptable if they are able to obtain the visa on their own. But again, IREX cannot offer any support for dependents visas. While you're in the U.S., you'll be enrolled in an accident and sickness insurance program called Patriot Group Insurance. It's a health plan that covers any accident or sickness. However, this accident and sickness insurance has a couple of important areas that are not covered that you should be aware of. So the insurance does not cover pre-existing conditions and the cost of prescription medications for pre-existing conditions. In general terms, a pre-existing condition is considered either a medical condition that you have sought medical care for prior to this program and obtaining insurance for this program, or any condition that is severe enough that most people would have sought medical care for that condition. The insurance does not cover routine health examinations, that is an annual checkup at a doctor or a dentist. It does not cover eye care or dental care unless it's related to an emergency or accident. That is to say, the insurance does not cover something like teeth cleaning or vision exam. However, if you have a dental emergency, a broken tooth, or something of that sort, then the insurance would cover that treatment. It also does not cover any vaccinations. Please note that you must bring an 8-week supply of any prescription or other medications that you take to the U.S. So if there's medications that you take regularly or would like access to while you're here, we suggest that you bring those with you. Of course, pharmacies here are very well stocked, and you should be able to obtain most over-the-counter medications here in the U.S., but we would suggest that you bring supplies of any medications that you may not be able to obtain here. And again, we will discuss your insurance coverage in further detail at the opening workshop in Washington, D.C. And finally, IREX will review program policies, including reporting, financial, and attendance policies, with you at the opening workshop in Washington at the end of January. So this is the end of the first segment of the pre-departure training for the University Administration Support Program, and the training will continue in the second video. Thank you.